So the Venom films are the crown jewel of the Sony Spider-Man Universe, which should easily be the most embarrassing thing you've heard all day. And with the release of Venom: The Last Dance, we now finally have an end to this trilogy. So is it any good? Not even close. Let's talk about it. What's up, guys? I'm Sully, and today we're talking about the final chapter in Sony's symbiote trilogy, Venom: The Last Dance. All you need to know about this one is that the story goes like this. Eddie and Venom are on the run, hunted by both of their worlds, and with the net closing in, the duo are forced into a devastating decision that will bring the curtains down on this unlikely pair's final adventure. So I'll start this one off by saying that I'm a really big fan of Venom when he's in the comics. Unfortunately, it doesn't really matter which character has their time in the spotlight anymore, because all of these Sony Spider-Man-less films just do not get the job done at all. I think it's pretty easy to grasp at this point that these villains only excel when they have Peter Parker in the mix, acting as an emotional anchor. I mean, watching these movies feels like buying tickets to see a singer you really like, but their buddy that sort of knows how to play the kazoo shows up instead. I don't know when these big studio executives are gonna realize that all we want to see is Spider-Man and the characters in question have beef and beat the ever-living shit out of each other. It's really not a hard formula to comprehend. But getting back to Venom, this is our third entry led by everyone's favorite symbiote after a couple of pretty lackluster films, and I'll just say this. If you're expecting them to get their shit together this time around for this epic finale, yeah, prepare to be let down, brother. Now look, before we really get into the nitty-gritty here, let me be clear. The things you think are gonna be good about this movie are still good in this third and hopefully final entry. The action sequences that they give us and the dynamic between Eddie and Venom do a lot of legwork in preventing this film from being the absolute biggest dumpster fire of the year, but even those two aspects, while entertaining, have a ton of issues surrounding them. Playing into that road trip buddy cop film vibe and hitting us with a fight scene that can only be described as an all-out symbiote-filled WWE cage match are definitely the two high points of the movie, and probably the only two high points you're gonna hear me mention. Tom Hardy must really enjoy playing this character, or he just wants a fifth vacation house, because these movies are wildly beneath an actor of his caliber. Having this movie come out the same year as The Bike Riders, a film that actually makes use of his talents, is a wild side-by-side. Don't get me wrong, he's easily putting out the best performance here, and continues to prove that he was the right choice for the role, but the acting from the overall cast here is so uninteresting and bizarre across the board, and I've seen all of these actors and what they're capable of in other projects, so the only explanation I can come up with is you can't outwork a bad script. And this is a bad script, let me tell you. Everything is just so rushed and jumbled together here with an abundance of stupid character decisions, missed opportunities with the humor, and one of the most underdeveloped comic book villains of all time. Yeah, you might have noticed that I haven't said a single thing about the big bad yet, and that's because I didn't learn a single thing about him from the actual movie, which is kind of surprising because one of the biggest problems about this movie is that there is so much constant exposition dumping throughout the film that I probably would have rathered if there was a mandatory pamphlet they made us read before it started to tell us everything we needed to know. That way we could just cut all that shit out and get right to the big spectacle, mindless action sequences that you actually showed up for in the first place. Because I don't know if a single character in this entire movie doesn't blatantly explain a plot point to the audience like they're reading it right off of a Wikipedia page. When it's all said and done, this film might have the laziest script of 2024, which is no easy feat. If you actually want to feel something and see Venom handled with care, stay as far as you possibly can away from this blockbuster and go replay Ultimate Spider-Man on the GameCube, the perfect symbiote palate cleanser. Overall, guys, Venom: The Last Dance is pretty much everything you've come to expect from these Sony Spider-Man-less films. A terrible script, no character development, unsatisfying subplots, the list goes on and on. Now, when the film actually decides to focus on the dynamic between between our two main characters or goes balls to the wall with the action sequences. It's easy to see why a franchise centered around this unique villain could really work well if given the proper treatment. But instead, we got this little train wreck that ends up being the worst Venom film so far. Venom: The Last Dance gets a Sully score of 1.5 stars. So that's my review for the latest Venom film. What do you think is the best Sony Spider-Man-less movie they've come out with so far? I probably have to say the original Venom movie, but let me know in the comments below what you think. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys at the next one.